Hey guys, this is Pleasure. Let's have a look at the hashtag free melee situation, and in particular Nintendo's claims. Now, note that I'm not a lawyer, but as far as I know, all this information is true. Hit me up in the comments if I've made any mistakes. I do not believe I have. But please make sure you listen to everything before you make stupid comments. Recap of what happened. If you didn't already know, there was a online Smash tournament that was organized called the Big House. It was going to use Slippi to play, obviously due to the pandemic. Slippi is a mod that allows you to play online. It uses Dolphin, which is an emulator for GameCube and Wii. And this was all done to play Super Smash Bros. Melee online. Ultimate uses the standard Nintendo way. Now, Nintendo shut them down via cease and desist. Let's have a look at their statement. First paragraph here is a bunch of PR questionable statements. You can have a look at other material online about how that's highly questionable. What we're interested in is their reasoning for doing this. From their statement, unfortunately, the upcoming Big House tournament announced plans to host an online tournament for Super Smash Bros. Melee, and here it is, that requires use of illegally copied versions of the game in conjunction with a mod called Slippi during their online event. Nintendo therefore contacted the tournament organizers to ask them to stop. They refused, leaving Nintendo no choice but to step in and protect its intellectual property and brands. Nintendo cannot condone or allow piracy of its intellectual property. So we're going to have a look at those bolded statements, which is the crux of their argument, and see if they hold up. Firstly, this goes around a lot. Emulation is not illegal. Reason being, as per the quote on the right there, the code of the emulator is completely legal, is written by programmers. It does not belong to Nintendo. If Nintendo could have shut down Dolphin, they would have by now. Okay, but they can't because they do not have a legal way to do so. So emulation, not illegal. Piracy is illegal. So as in going to a ROM site and downloading ISOs and so on. Now, emulation and piracy are often conflated. It is asserted that they are the same, that you cannot have emulation do anything without piracy. This is a complete fallacy. It is known as a conflation fallacy. To be honest, Nintendo's lawyers should know better than this. It is obviously not true. You can quite easily dump your own games that you own and then use them in an emulator without piracy entering the equation at all. Is Slippi illegal? So Slippi being the mod? No. And the reasons are the same, that the author of Slippi, I think it's just one author, he or she wrote all that code. Nintendo did not write that code. Nintendo has no ownership over that code. Slippi is not illegal. As far as I can tell, Nintendo are using that as a way to prove that it is required to use, that Slippi makes it so that you're required to illegally download copies of Melee. Let's examine this assertion. I think you know where this is going. So, ripping games and the law. Now, you can quite easily take your game and back it up. And then you can use that backup in Dolphin. I have done this before. You can use clean rip, homebrew, you can use certain models of optical drives, and so on. So there's plenty of ways, there's not just one. So it's completely legal to do this. You can make a copy of something that you own for your own personal use, games, music, etc. However, it is illegal to bypass DRM or use tools that do so. So at this point, it looks like that we are sunk here, because the GameCube mini discs use encryption and other stuff, as far as I know. For the purpose of this, they have DRM, and we're using tools that break it. So we can, but we can't. And the can't in this case trumps the can. Okay, but there's hope. So there is DMCA exceptions, and in this case, the exception that applies is computer programs and video games distributed in formats that have become obsolete and which require the original media or hardware as a condition of access. Original media being the GameCube mini disc, and hardware being a Nintendo Wii of the first model, or Nintendo GameCube, or I guess a Panasonic Q. Let's have a look at that. The Wii model RVL 101 removed the GameCube compatibility. It was released on October 23rd, 2011. The previous model can play the GameCube games, had the controller ports and so on. That was discontinued at that time. So for approximately 8 years now, it's not been possible to buy hardware to play Melee. And so that's just from the hardware side. From the point of view of buying the game, it's been out of, print for a long time. Now, let's bring this all together. Does this tournament require the use of illegally copied games as Nintendo have claimed? No. And to be honest, I'm quite disappointed that Nintendo even tried to use such a fallacious argument. You can make a copy for your personal use. It is not required that you pirate Melee in any form to take part in this tournament. There is a DMCA exception for obsolete formats and software. I would argue that since you can't go and buy Super Smash Bros. Melee, and you can't go buy any hardware that could even read it in the first place, you haven't been able to do so for nearly 10 years, it's obsolete, okay? It's not, Nintendo haven't even released like new versions of the game on the Wii U or the Switch or anything like that, for what can only be baffling reasons, to be honest. Now, we're getting a bit off topic of this. Let's get back on it. So, is Nintendo allowing piracy of its intellectual property by letting this tournament going ahead? That was their second argument. Oh, we can't do it because it will be, allowing piracy. So, no, is the answer to that. I do not think that Nintendo's arguments hold any water, and I've gone through why I think that, and I think it's pretty obvious when you give it a bit of thinking. Potential problems is that, what is the definition of obsolete? I do not know. That would be for a lawyer, they would know that sort of thing. But I think we are in the right in this. I don't have a link available. But in my reading on this, I had a look at Internet Archive and other stuff that, is relevant to this in terms of backing up obsolete stuff. Okay? So in general, Nintendo claimed that you needed illegal copies of the game to play in their event, and they insinuated that Slippi was illegal. Slippi is not illegal. Dolphin is not illegal. You can quite easily rip your games, your own games that you own. Personally, I own 2 copies of Super Smash Bros. Melee, and you've been unable to buy Super Smash Bros. Melee for quite a long time in stores. It's been out of print for a long time. The hardware that can run Melee not available. None of Nintendo's statements are truthful, to be honest. Disappointing. Personally, going forward, I own a lot of Nintendo hardware. I own a lot of Nintendo games. I like and own them, but their behavior as a company is terrible, to be honest, and I will be voting with my wallet, and I hope you do too. Kick up a fuss. Hashtag free Melee. I'll be interested to see your comments below. Please like and subscribe with all the YouTube stuff. See you later.